This is a Sabbath Covenant production from the Sabbath Covenant YouTube channel, where Yahuwah is the only true God and Yahusha is our eternal high priest. From a Nazarene perspective, I am Rav Shaul. Shalom, I am Rav Shaul, and today we're going to reveal the symbol of the Antichrist, or better yet, the false Messiah, which is the Chi, Psi, and Sigma, as recorded by the prophet John in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. It is the Christogram of the false Messiah, Jesus Christ. The prophet John identified Jesus Christ as the beast. We read this in Revelation chapter 13, beginning with verse 16. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. Let me pause right here, because the false teachers today tell us that the beast out of the sea refers to a physical man who rises up out of the nations. This is not what John was telling us. John was clearly identifying the false Messiah as the god worshipped by the Babylonian religion. They worshipped Dagon, the fish god, who was the beast coming out of the sea. The Pope is the high priest of Dagon, the fish god. As I show in my book, Christianity and the Great Deception, the religion of Babylon was formally transferred to Rome from Babylon when Rome conquered Babylon. The priests of Dagon became the priesthood of the religion of Rome, known today as Christianity. The Pope is literally the high priest of Dagon, the Babylonian fish god, coming out of the sea. The garments of the Pope that he wears even to this day are the garments of the high priest of Dagon, later known as the sea monster or Leviathan, and today known as Satan. So John was telling us that this false Messiah would be the God for whom the false prophet, the Pope, speaks. As John saw, the spirit of this false Messiah was that of a beast or Dagon coming out of the sea. So already John has identified Jesus Christ, because it is only Jesus Christ that is the God worshipped by the high priest of Dagon, the Pope. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Let's get back to Revelation chapter 13. The prophet John identified Jesus Christ as the beast. We read this in Revelation chapter 13, beginning with verse 16. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. Now, John specifically and uniquely names Jesus Christ as the Antichrist in Revelation 13:18. Doesn't look like it in English, does it? Well, this is because the English translation of this verse is in grave error. I'm going to challenge this uninspired translation that has kept us all in the dark for thousands of years. Here again, we are warned that to understand the name of the beast requires those who have wisdom and insight into spiritual things. So we are dealing with a mystery, one that would not be revealed until the time of the end or the appointed time, as Shaul, Daniel, and John all declared. We are going to employ just such wisdom and insight today to Revelation chapter 13 and clearly identify Jesus Christ as the name of the beast and demonstrate that what John actually said and meant in Revelation chapter 13 is this. Verse 13, the dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. He's referring to the sea serpent with the letter Psi. Verse 17, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark. That's the letter Chi, an X, which is the name of the beast, or rather, the symbol of its name. Verse 18, this calls for wisdom to discern the Christogram. Let the person who has spiritual eyes to see reckon up the pictogram of the symbol of the beast that identifies him. For it is the symbol of a man, and that symbol is Chi, Psi, and Sigma. We are misled by the Christian church to believe that the mark of the beast is 666, when actually it is the spiritual mark of incarnation, which is an X or a Chi or a cross, the Chi in Greek, on the forehead, or the belief that God came to earth as a man, which is opposite of the mark of Yahuwah, which is that he alone is God and there is no other. This mark is the mark of Tammuz and goes all the way back to Babylon. I will explain the mark of the beast later in this video series. In reality, the number 666 has nothing to do with anything at all. This is where wisdom and insight come in. You see, John did not write down a number. He wrote down the 3 Greek letters, which are the symbol of Jesus Christ, to the exclusion of all others in history, past and future. This is why the pagan translators removed the symbol and inserted a number, in blatant violation of the clear command not to add to or subtract from the book of Revelation. Well, they did both. They subtracted the symbol and then added a number. This is one of the many seals of the book of Revelation that would require men of wisdom and insight, as Daniel foretold, to break these seals at the time of the end and teach those called out by Yahuwah to defeat this incarnated lie. Breaking the seal on the lying pen of the scribes. The book of Revelation, especially Revelation chapter 13, has been sealed by false translations. And we've been warned about this. We read this in Jeremiah 8, starting with verse 7. But my people do not know the ordinances of Yahuwah. How can you say we are wise and the law of Yahuwah is with us? But behold, the lying pen of the scribes has made it into a lie. Verse 9, the wise men are put to shame. They are dismayed and caught. Behold, they have rejected the word of Yahuwah. And what kind of wisdom could they possibly have? As I mentioned in part 1 of this video series, the prophet John, or Yochanan, identified Jesus Christ as the false Messiah by name, monogram, pictogram, mark, and symbol in Revelation chapter 13. Well, this is what it looks like in our English Bibles. You can't tell the way it's translated because the lying pen of the scribe, or the translators, literally altered the text in Revelation chapter 13 and twisted the scriptures. In doing so, Yahuwah put a 2,000-year seal over his words so that the false Messiah could prosper in plain sight. But as Shaul the apostle said in 2 Thessalonians 2, this false image of a man who died that we have elevated in our hearts as God incarnate would be revealed at the appointed time. Well, this is that appointed time, and this is that revelation. So let's unravel the twisted version of Revelation chapter 13 and show what a true inspired translation of that scripture looks like. Just as John said in Revelation chapter 13, it would call for wisdom and insight to be able to understand this scripture, and that's because of the lying pen of the scribe. So we're going to employ just such wisdom and insight today to Revelation chapter 13 and clearly identify Jesus Christ as the name of the beast by his symbol, his mark, his monogram, his Christogram, and pictogram, and we're going to demonstrate what John actually said and meant in Revelation chapter 13 is this. Revelation chapter 13, verse 13. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. And he uses the symbol of the serpent, the Psi, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, and that's the Chi, or the X, which is the name of the beast, or rather, the symbol of its name. This calls for wisdom to discern the Christogram. Let the person who has spiritual eyes to see reckon up the pictogram of the symbol of the beast that identifies him, for it is the symbol of a man. That symbol is Chi, Psi, and Sigma. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show where the translators failed us and prove how they should have translated this properly so that it would have read just like you see it here on your screen. Here is the Revelation chapter 13 in Greek. You can see there at the end, there's no 666 in there. There is the monogram or the Christogram of Jesus Christ, the Chi, Psi, and Sigma. Our translators converted the Greek letters Chi, Psi, and Sigma into the numbers 666 because they mistranslated the meaning of the Greek word arithmos in Revelation chapter 13 as number, which is the common definition. But since John did not write down a number, they should never have changed the subject of the text just to accommodate the common definition of arithmos. They should have properly translated arithmos in context without changing the text. What John was shown in Revelation chapter 13 by Yahuwah was a vision of the mark, the symbol of the serpent, the pictogram, and the monogram of Jesus Christ to the exclusion of any other figure, real or imaginary, in history. John did not see, nor did he write down a number, the number 666. The symbol John saw was a symbol for Jesus Christ, which is called a Christogram. Here's an entry for the definition of Christogram, and it's basically, a Christogram is a combination of Greek letters that form an abbreviation for the name Jesus Christ, which is exactly what John wrote. There's many different types of Christograms associated with Christianity. Here's the Catholic Encyclopedia. We see that XS, now in the Middle Ages it was XC. They used a C for the sigma. Today we use an S. So in paintings, when you see XC, just know that's actually today. If they were to paint those paintings today, it would be XS. But anyway, the Catholic Encyclopedia admits that XS, as used by, or Chi Sigma, as used by John in Revelation chapter 13, is one of the standard Christograms. In fact, it is the most common Christogram. So John was inspired by Yahuwah to use the one everyone would recognize. Below is the entry for IHS. That's the other most common Christogram. But as I'm going to show, they are equivalent. It just takes a little wisdom and insight and a little inspiration from Yahuwah to break these codes. So here it is. Here's the Catholic Encyclopedia. Notice down there that it says that it's used as a symbol. So it wasn't ever a number, so that's a key of how they should have translated arithmos. They should have translated it as a symbol because John wrote down a symbol, and it's a symbol that represents the false Messiah. It's not a number. And you also notice down there that it says, it says thus ICXC, which today is ISXS, or IHS and XPS. These are all common forms of Aesios Christos. So when John wrote down Chi, Psi, and Sigma, he was naming Aesios Christos specifically. Now, there are many Christograms used throughout history, and all of them use different combinations of the Greek letters in Christos. Here is Christos in Greek. You see that the X, or the Chi, is the first letter of Christos, and the S, or the Sigma, is the last letter. This is the Christogram John saw and wrote down. But the Christogram John wrote down is unique, using the Greek letter that symbolizes the serpent, the Psi. You see the serpent in an upright coil. John used the first and last letters in Christos, which is the most common symbol in history for Jesus Christ, combined with the letter Psi in the middle. These three Greek characters represent the pagan Greek title Christos, used of all pagan demigods, but in this one, John used the symbol of the serpent mentioned in Revelation 13:1. Here is Dr. E.W. Bullinger's book, Number in Scriptures, page 49, and he says, indeed, the expression of this number, Chi, Psi, and Sigma, consists of the initial and final letters of the word Christos, Christ, the Psi, and the Sigma, with the symbol of the serpent between them. The middle letter represents the symbol of the serpent and is intimately connected with the ancient Egyptian mysteries. And we see when in all the paintings of Jesus Christ, where they put the Chi, Psi, and Sigma in there, they put the Psi above it and even admit that that is the symbol of a sacred name. I mean, it's right there in plain sight. It's the secret Egyptian mysteries, that have identified this false Messiah. The Psi symbol is the serpent in an upright coil. Now, this is the most common symbol in history for the serpent. The universal symbol for the serpent throughout the ages and cultures is a serpent in an upright coil. So you can see here. It's even the symbol of our medical symbols and things like that. But most times when you see a symbol of a serpent, it's a serpent in an upright coil. That's why they used the letter Psi to represent the serpent. So what John was telling us by using the standard monogram for Jesus Christ, XS, is that the sea serpent, or the dragon, would be the source of the power, great authority, and throne of the false Messiah. And John illustrated this fact by inserting the symbol of the serpent, the Psi, in between the most common Christograms in history, Chi Sigma. And like I said, this is displayed on all the paintings painted of Jesus Horst Krishna. And it's even admitted that they put that symbol in there, because that is a sacred name, and, it's what gives that name its power. Throughout history, the name of the false Messiah, Jesus Christ, has been represented by symbols, not numbers, as John demonstrated by writing down the symbol Chi Psi Sigma, his monogram or Christogram, in Revelation chapter 13:18. So how did we get the number 666? The word arithmos, translated as number in Revelation 13:18, should have been translated as symbol or figurative representation that lifts up a specific man as to identify him by name, such as a mark, pictogram, or monogram. In Revelation 13:18, the Greek word translated number in English is Strong's number 706, arithmos. Arithmos can mean number because a number is just a symbol, as in this case, a symbol that represents a specific calculated measurement of units. Arithmos can also mean representation or symbol in the sense of reckoned up to identify something. The words representation and symbol are English synonyms for number. See your thesaurus. Given that John wrote a symbol, not a number, in context of Revelation 13:18, symbol would have been much more accurate English word for the Greek word arithmos in context of this verse. The translators should have used an English word, found a synonym that properly communicated what John was saying, keeping the proper context with the focus on the subject, which was a symbol. To understand which word, number, or symbol better represents arithmos in this specific case, the translators should have realized that John did not write down a number and then consulted the root word of arithmos, which is ario. Ario gives us a full sense of what John was saying, given he wrote down a symbol, not a number. Arithmos is derived from the Greek root word ario, which is Strong's 142. And you can see here it is to lift up, to figuratively represent something. In other words, a symbol, that is used to lift up and identify something. The word arithmos, in conjunction with its root ario, implies a symbol that is used to figuratively lift up by representation, not a mathematical symbol as a number used to calculate. Arithmos is used by John in Revelation 13:18 and means a symbol or figurative representation that identifies the name of the false Messiah. In other words, a mark, a pictogram, or a monogram. That is why John did not write down a number after arithmos. He wrote down 3 Greek letters that is used as a symbol that figuratively represents the name Jesus Christ. So arithmos, as used by John in context, should have been translated as symbol, in the sense of a figurative representation to lift up and identify the name of the false Messiah. That is the full meaning and how it is used by John in Revelation 13:18. It is no wonder John warned us we would need wisdom and insight to figure this one out, because the lying pen of the scribes has struck yet again, as Yahuwah warned us in Jeremiah 8:8. What John was actually saying and how it should have been translated is this: Revelation 13:18. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight reckon up the symbol of the beast, for it is the symbol of a man that identifies him. That symbol is Chi, Psi, and Sigma. That is the proper rendering of Revelation 13:18. This figurative representation that lifts up to identify, i.e., Chi, Psi, and Sigma, is the symbol of Jesus Christ exclusively. No other figure in human history uses this symbol. No other image has abolished the law and is the lawless one and changed the ordained times to pagan rituals. Only Jesus Christ, and he is named by name by John. We are warned all throughout the Bible that those who read it, those who seek salvation within its pages, would be deceived by a deception so great, very few people would ever overcome it. We are warned that this deception would be another gospel, preached directly from his own word, created by the lying pen of the scribes and twisted by the Greeks into another gospel. This false gospel, false religion, false prophet, and false Messiah would be founded on a false spirit identified as the spirit of incarnation, called the spirit of the false Messiah. This spirit would blaspheme the Most High, who is immortal, and remake the Creator of the universe into our own human image, and teach that he must come to earth and die. In this video, I'm going to prove that the symbol John wrote down in Revelation chapter 13 is the symbol for Jesus Christ and no one else. This symbol is emblazoned on the, quote, image of the false Messiah in almost every painting of him in antiquity, clearly identifying Jesus Christ as the false image of the Messiah or false Messiah that would be worshipped as God incarnate above Yahuwah throughout this age. What John wrote down was the Chi, Psi, and Sigma. He did not write down 666. This is the symbol of the beast, Jesus Christ, that John warned us about. This symbol is on paintings, murals, and statues identifying Jesus Christ specifically. We see the Chi and Sigma, which is the Christogram of Jesus Christ, with the Psi, which is a symbol of the serpent, painted above the Christogram, indicating that this false image is under the authority of the dragon. As John said in Revelation chapter 13, it is the dragon or the sea serpent that gives this false image his power, throne, and authority. Simply move the Chi symbol of the serpent back into the Christogram, and you have the symbol of the beast written down by John in Revelation chapter 13, clearly written on paintings and murals worldwide. We see this false Messiah, Jesus Christ, making the symbol of the beast with his hands the exact symbol John said would identify him to the world. He makes the Chi or the X by crossing his index and middle fingers. He then floats his ring finger by itself, making the Psi or the symbol of the serpent. Then makes a C by cupping the palm of his hand with his little finger and thumb. Reading from top down, we have the Chi, Psi, and Sigma prominently displayed boldly in the face of all humanity to condemn all those who have elevated him in their hearts as God incarnate. We see the symbol of the corrupted version of the zodiac, the cross inside the sun, identifying Jesus as the Son of the Lord, which is a title for Baal. We see the mark of the beast, the X or the Chi, clearly displayed behind the head of this false Messiah, and even inscribed on the word of Yahuwah, indicating his word would be altered to promote this false Messiah, the Antichrist. The Bible would be altered, the true name of the Messiah taken out, and the name of this false Messiah inserted in its place. The doctrine of incarnation would be literally written into our Bibles by pagan scribes and then taught this entire age for thousands of years by false teachers.